Okay, so I had planned to sit and talk to you about another video today. I had planned to sit and talk to you about ascension symptoms, actually. Here I'm sitting in my little socks. You can see this was very spur of the moment. As much as I had planned to do a video, this is not what I thought I was going to be talking to you about today. Yet it's very much on my heart. So I'm just going to go with where my heart is, and I'm going to share a little bit of a personal sharing about me traversing through the dark night of the soul, the damn dark night of the soul that so many of you know. It's a part of the spiritual awakening journey. Now, we know that, right? We know that part of the spiritual awakening journey is you question, you get flung with mud from all sides. It kind of forces you into an awakening, and you eventually work through that, and you come out the other side and you go, hallelujah, dark night of the soul, I'm done. Except then it can, I'm not saying it's gonna, but it can hit you again, and sometimes again and again. But how you traverse through that damn thing, how you walk through that dark night of the soul, determines so much. It determines the ease on the other side and the depth of the ease on the other side. And I've come through a couple of these. The last time I went through a dark night of the soul was 2016. This one was much shorter comparatively. This one was much easier comparatively. So when you are in the thick of it, there are some things that I want to share with you based on my experience, and hopefully this personal sharing will give you courage when you go through hardship. Maybe you want to share this with a friend who is going through hardship. There's a lot of people who feel really lost right now, and they have my deepest compassion. But at the same time, I see similar trends in these people. And the first thing that I see is they're going to hardship, whether it's the dark night of the soul, which, you know what that is, right? The dark night of the soul is your soul waking you up to another level. That's what it is. It's your soul going, okay, great. How do we take this quantum leap now into your next level of growth? And very often, there's nothing to facilitate that quantum leap except hardship, pain, struggle. We call it the good old dark night of the soul. So it's not a time of punishment or karma or the universe being out to get you. It's an opportunity for radical growth. And on the other side of that dark night of the soul, you feel renewed, really renewed and elevated. There's going to be more ease. There's going to be more flow. There's going to be more synchronicity. There's going to be a higher level of you, a higher version of you with a higher reality. It's just that there's very often no staircase leading you to that higher reality. So the dark night of the soul acts as this quantum travelator that gets you there. The dark night of the soul that arose for me arose very much out of the blue, as they always do, unannounced. They just arrive one day. You think life's going beautifully. Although I will say, no, I started feeling hectically nauseous before it arrived. I even had a friend here. We were having coffee, and I had a friend. I still remember I'm leaning over the coffee machine. I'm making coffee, and I'm saying to her, I just have this feeling. I just have this feeling of unease, like I've got this really nausea going on, like something's going to happen, but nothing's going to happen. I mean, I had at that stage just moved to the new house that we're in right now. I was still saying, this is such a beautiful new house. Why do I feel this way? Okay. Drank our coffee, and it was, funny enough, I think it was either the next day or a day later that all the drama arrived. Now, the drama that arrived for me personally was a brand new situation, and that's what it will always be. When you are going through a radical growth period and a big cleansing period, what's going to happen is you have an existing pattern, but you need a new situation to bring that pattern to the surface. So it's going to be like this: new players, but an old game. And the situation that I was in was one I'd never faced before, couldn't have ever dreamt of facing. I was dealing with unscrupulous people, horrific injustice, nothing to do with work, nothing to do with my communication with you and social media. It was very much in my private life, and it had just everything to do with this house that we had just moved to. We had so much unexpected disaster. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to badmouth anybody. I don't want to bring scandal to anybody. I'm going to handle this with integrity and decorum and not mudsling. But I will say that I confronted the beast head on. Sounds dramatic. But I could see the demons in the person that was attacking us, me and my husband. I could see the demons in that person. I could see the darkness in him. I could see the lengths he was willing to go to save a buck, the fingers he was willing to point, the cockamamie stories he was willing to cook up, all while driving sports cars and bragging about his wealth. I could see this corruption in his persona. And, you know, sometimes you see something and you go, well, it is what it is, you know, and you've got to kind of let it be, let it lie, except it just got bigger by the day. This person became violently aggressive. This person started really infringing, not just on morality, but on law, on doing things that were very illegal, very unjustified. And eventually it came to a point where we had to get police involved and we had to get legal support in what we were facing. It was a very, very difficult situation. But what it brought up for me, albeit a new situation, what it brought up for me was the old feelings of the past, the old avoidance of authority, the old paradigms that I hadn't yet fully let go of. And what had I been saying to you guys here on social media? All timelines are collapsing, remember? All timelines are collapsing, which means there's going to be a little bit of surface, a little bit of debris coming up to the surface. That is what's going to rise up as those timelines collapse, and it's just a cleansing, and it'll be quick and you can go through it. Well, little did I know it was going to smack me right in the eyeballs, and that's exactly what it did. I went through this dark night of the soul, and I thought to myself, oh, I'm probably at one of my lowest lows that I've been at since 2016, which was the harshest dark night of the soul that I've ever been through, that I could ever imagine encountering. It was hell on wheels. This one, comparatively, was a walk in the park, but it was still damn difficult to go through it, because what a dark night of the soul is going to do is make you question everything. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing this for? Do I even want this anymore? Everything. I was questioning everything. Is this the right food for me to eat? Is this the right video for me to record? Is this the right whatever? Everything felt uncertain. So self-doubt is going to creep in. The advice that I really want to share with you, if you go through a dark night of the soul, which I have no doubt you've been through, or maybe you go through that again, and if you do, it's honestly not a problem. Remember, it's just the travelator. That's all that the dark night of the soul is. It's the travelator that is elevating you into a higher timeline that you can't get to otherwise. That's it. But don't analyze the damn thing. Don't analyze it, because it's the analysis of where you are, like the famous question, why? Why am I going through this? What do I need to learn? It doesn't damn well matter. It just drop the question. Who cares? While you're going through dark night of the soul, the things that are going to slow you down the most, that you don't need, that are actually hindrances, are those questions. Why am I going through this? What do I need to learn? What is this about? Just go through it. And you know what? Once you've gone through it, then you have hindsight, then you have the answer. But there's this human conditioning that says, if I've got the answers, somehow it's going to save me. Somehow the linear, literal, logical level of information is going to save me from the emotional havoc, from the emotional pain. It's not. It's only going to distract you. And that's why we like to get very intellectual and analytical when we're in deep emotions. Don't go there. You're speaking to somebody who is not a novice at going through dark nights of the soul. And I'll tell you the place where people hurt themselves the most, stumble, trip, and fall, right there. Analysis. You got to surrender. You got to surrender to the pain, to the discomfort, to the turmoil, to the whatever it is that you feel, to the feeling like I want to give up on life. Both my husband and I looked at each other one night. We were driving in the car and we were going, what is the purpose of life? Like, if this is what people can do and if this is where people are, what the hell is the point? I don't even want to be here anymore. Now, those are not Kerry words. That's just where we both were. And we both kind of looked at each other because he's a phenomenally positive person. I always have maybe not as positive an outlook as he does, but certainly a rosy perspective. I'm not a doom and gloomist. I'm not depressive in any way. So here we both were in this bottom of the bottom type place. And you've just got to let yourself be there and trust that it's a storm, and like any storm, it's going to pass. But when you analyze that storm, you bring that storm, you slow it down, you bring it into your space and you glue it there. So let the analysis go and just let yourself. It takes a phenomenal courage. And that's the thing. It takes a spiritual warrior. To get through the dark night of the soul takes a spiritual warrior, but you're always going to come through the other side when the storm passes. You're always going to come through the other side with clarity. And quite beautifully, we've just had a massive, massive storm. Some of you will know in the Western Cape of South Africa, we've just had one of the biggest storms on record. We've had a level 9 storm, which is never recorded before in the Western Cape, apparently. Which I can believe. It was very short-lived, thankfully. It was 2 days. But the damage that it wreaked, I mean, there were people literally swimming out of their windows. My husband is in emergency services, search and rescue, and he's been very, very busy. I've hardly seen him since the storm. I mean, the stories he's come back to tell me about trees falling on people's cars and houses, and literally, as I said, people swimming out a window. So we've just had the storm. The storm has passed. Today is actually, would you believe, the most exquisite day. So I thought, yeah, okay. All right, now that the storm is passing. And I felt it for a couple of days already. I felt that elevation. And here's how you'll feel when the dark night of the soul starts to pass. Quiet. Just like everything is too loud. Like you just want to be quiet. Do you know why? Because you're integrating. The most powerful time of any meditation, of any dark night of the soul, it's not your analysis, it's the integration. It's the quiet time of no thinking but being. I shared with you guys before, I've been knitting. I have fallen in love with the therapeutic action of knitting. I'm sure you've seen me in many of my recent videos. Scarves, scarves, scarves. I've got so many. And my children have got so many scarves. We're all scarved up, but it's just therapy. There's my quiet time. So when you feel that you really want to retreat, know how important that retreat is and grant yourself that time. That integration time is everything, absolutely everything. And of course, Dark Night of the Soul is going to bring you into a level of vulnerability, with yourself, with life, a level of honesty with yourself, with life. You got to drop all the damn pretense, let it go. It's the wake up, shake up. So let it do its thing. And the more that you allow yourself to be in the flow of that dark night of the soul, the more it flows. The less you control it, the more it flows. Now, there were many moments that I had looking at the outrageous injustices that had occurred in our lives. There were many moments that I had where I had this human need for justice. I had this human need. This isn't okay. And this person's got to know that it's not okay. And I knew that that was just surface level stuff and that was going to pass. Do you know why? Because light has no interest in another person's punishment. It really doesn't. Because that person will live with his consequences, which is far worse than any court of law could ever do to him. That person lives with it now. It's no stain on me. I held my integrity. I held peace in my being. I wasn't out to get anyone. Wasn't out for vengeance. Wasn't even out for justice. I was just being the highest version of me that I could be, letting go of the need to know, because that's the need to control, because that's the need to analyze. That's also the need to escape where you are, just to really be the spiritual warrior. So I want you to look at your life today and to look at the places in your life where you've had to be the spiritual warrior, which is where you've got to throw. Do you know what the spiritual warrior is? You throw down your weapons. That's what the spiritual warrior does. The spiritual warrior does not go to war. The spiritual warrior throws down their weapons and steps into vulnerability with themselves, reckoning with themselves, faces themselves, loses all the distraction, loses all the need of the ego to create a hoo-ha and to have a say and to teach somebody a lesson. It just becomes about how much integrity can I hold in myself as I navigate through this right now? How much honesty, how much truth? How willing am I to see me? That's what a dark night of the soul is asking you to bring you to. And sometimes the universe has got to bring somebody to their bloody knees in order to get them there. Don't wait for that to happen. Remember, dark night of the soul can pass in days. And mine did. It was pretty dark, but it really did. I've been feeling day by day more elevated, more buoyed, more supported. I will say that. I have felt phenomenally supported, phenomenally, by the universe, by my loved ones, by the people close to me. I really have felt phenomenally supported. And that was beautiful to let that in, because that has taken work for me to do. I'll be honest with you guys. That's taken work for me to really let people support me. Normally, I let Brian support me. That's my husband. I let my children support me. I let my dog support me. And that's where it pretty much begins and ends. And this was very different. And I want to share with you that you're going to be okay, that you're safe. Trust the process. Trust your soul. Trust life. You didn't come here to crumble. You didn't come here to die and be punished and face terror and hardship and then be left on the floor. You brought all of that to you to elevate you. You brought all of that to you. It's just that bit in between where we try to control the outcome and analyze the hell out of it. It's that we've got to let go of and just be in that glorious surrender, which is, I don't know if I'll be okay. I don't know the outcome. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know what is going to be asked of me. You are firmly and fully in the unknown. So go ahead and just be there. Don't stand in your own way. If you've brought yourself into the depths of the dark night, just surrender into the unknown. And remember this, when you're in the unknown, the one thing that is known is your essence, is your core. That doesn't change. The circumstances around you change. It's like there's a whirlwind around you. And all of that is in the storm. And all of that is in upheaval. But you, in your centeredness, in your essence, are stabilized. So allow yourself the love and support that you need today. And I want you to know that you'll be okay. From my heart, all the way into yours. Lots of love, everyone. There's the video I was talking about earlier. I'll link it for you over there. Bye-bye for now.